Hello, 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 Angel here. Welcome to or back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for spending some time with me. So today we are doing July favourites. Finally. Things that have been feeding my soul, filling my cup and lighting me up basically. So I know, better late than never, I know we're in August, but you know, it's been a busy month in July, I tell you. It's been busy, busy, busy. I've been a busy bee. So without further ado, and just, you know, here's a bit of an indication of what's been going on in July. Without further ado, let's get into it. So I don't really know where to start, but you know the drill. We're going to probably go from here to here, to there, to there, to there, you know. So strap yourself in for the bumpy ride as usual. You know the drill. You know what it's all about on this channel. So we're starting with the Under the Oak Tarot. This was a pre-ordered deck, edged in silver. It's fine. It's, you know, soft on the hands. It's gentle. I love it. This was my card of the month, the Magician. And I wrote in my journal, card of the month for the Magician, embracing my own power, my own magic, transforming thoughts into tangible action, fueled by the limitless potential of my imagination. My perception of the world changes my world, using my magic to create. That was what I entered in my journal for the month. Let's show you some images of these cards because they are absolutely stunning. This was a deck that wanted to stand alone. I did want to pair it. The deck didn't want to be paired. It wanted to be the star of the show, which I'm fine with. I'm totally fine with. Love this card. Pulled this card in a reading recently. Had an amazing experience with it. Should I get into that now? No, I don't want to go onto a tangent. Yes, this deck didn't want to be paired. However, I did want to bring forward the Starseeker Oracle as well. Not to pair with this deck, but to use in the same readings. This deck started to solidify, I think that's the right word, its place in my practice for this inner heroine facet that was coming through to me. That facet started to come through maybe 2 months ago, something like that. So I decided to use the Starseeker Oracle just as a clarifier at the end of my readings. So I didn't actually pair them together. Let's bring that one in so you can see that one as well. I'm not going to pair them because it didn't want to be paired. But this was the deck I was also using, the Starseeker Oracle. This was a Kickstarter that I backed. I opened it. I'd saved it for Christmas last year. These are the backs. Edging is gorgeous. I'm having a total love affair with lilac at the minute. And this deck is just totally beautiful. So, so beautiful. And yeah, it was a really, I personally think it's a standalone deck. I really do. But I was using it after using the Under the Oak Tarot for this inner heroine facet. So much so that I pulled a card. If I'm going to see if I can find it for you. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, here we go. This is the card. This is one of the, you know, a reading that I received that was so powerful and potent that I decided that I wanted to create some artwork with it as well. So let's just pop this out of the way for a wee second. And I created this, which was like a, here we go. Let's bring this back into shot again for you. So yeah, I did some artwork around it, and this is now sitting on my my altar as a representation of my inner heroine facet. So, you know, I painted it with acrylics. I added some scrumpled cardboard for the mountains, and then I love this. This kind of felt like the, I'm not going to say the obstacle and the challenges, but the journey that I've been on to get me to this point, in front of this portal, ready to make this next journey. I made this with tissue paper, which I braided, and I made a little me standing in front of the portal. And this little fellow, or little me, is a bit of a 3D idea here. So yeah, I love it. You know, it does the job. It stands on my self-love altar with my facets of self representations. So yeah, that was something else I did in July. This Under the Oak Tarot has been so, so potent. As mentioned, I don't pair it with this deck. I just use this as a kind of a clarifier at the end of the readings. And this one as well has also been so, so potent. Now, I felt the Under the Oak Tarot was adamant that it wanted to be centre stage. Not, you know, not in a, what's the word? Not in an aggressive way, but it was happy to hold the limelight by itself. And then I did a video very, very recently, because I've been doing this whole re-evaluation of my practice, and I've been doing some videos about, you know, decks that I can't pick up, decks that haven't found place in my practice as yet, and decks that, you know, I'm just not using. I did quite a few of those kind of videos, because I've been, you know, as mentioned, reassessing my practice. And I came across, or pulled the Brian Froud's Fairy Oracle for one of those videos, and I hadn't used that deck at all because I feel really intimidated by it. And then I decided that I just got the, you know, the bee in my bonnet that I needed to edge that deck, which I did. I'm going to show you that now. So I'm sure you'll recognise the Brian Froud Fairy Oracle. I edged mine in like bronzes and some browns as well to pick up the backs. And yeah, this deck I felt really intimidated about using. I don't know why. You know, you get those funny thoughts in your mind, don't you? Those funny obstacles. Well, I know I do. And once I'd edged this deck, I asked a question: what message this deck had for me right at this moment, and I pulled 2 cards. Or I had 2 jumpers. I'm going to show you what those were now. So I pulled the Singer of Intuition, and then I also pulled, I think this is LiQWYD, the Retriever. And these 2 messages so resonated for me. The guidebook mentions about LiQWYD, I think the name is LiQWYD, holding this item, which is possibly a forgotten dream or a forgotten thought or a forgotten wish that you've kind of put at the back of your mind, that this character now feels, or this fairy now feels you're ready to take a look at again. And the Singer of Intuition was all about, you know, really listening to your inner knowing and going inwards and opening those inner doors. And so that's what I did in July. I used this deck with my inner heroine facet of self, and started going inwards about this hidden dream or wish that has kind of been lost to me. Now I'm going to pull these 2 together so you can kind of see them. Now I said that the Under the Oak Tarot doesn't want to be paired, it wants to be a standalone deck. But when I pulled this one out, I suddenly got the flash of inspiration to pair these 2 together. And I drew a card from this one. I asked how it would feel about pairing with the Brian Froud Fairy Oracle, and it was totally green for go. When I started flipping the cards together, they just sang, and their messages were so beautiful. So although this deck initially wanted to be a standalone, it's quite happy to be paired with the Brian Froud. Now I do feel, I tend to feel with, generally when I pair decks together, I generally feel that one deck amplifies the other, or kind of helps the other one to shine, and vice versa. I don't feel like that's needed with this deck. These 2 are totally standalone decks, but they are just quite happy to work together. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my mind. And so I've been having a real journey with these 2 this month, along with my inner facet of self, my inner heroine. So yeah, my inner heroine work led me to create a cape for my poppet. I'm going to show you that in a wee second. Now I'm not going to show you my poppet. This is just the Barbie I'm going to show you is just a random Barbie that I have on my desk, because, you know, why not? Let's just take 2 more and I'll show you that. Yeah, let's take a look at my poppet. Or at least the cape for my poppet. Sorry, this is not my poppet. This is just a random second-hand Barbie doll which I purchased because I think she was beautiful. I think she's beautiful. Look at her. Look at her face. She's got glittery eyeshadow and she's got pink hair. I mean, hello. So yes, my poppet is slightly larger than this Barbie. And I don't have any sewing skills at all. I am terrible. But I wanted to create a cloak for my poppet to represent this inner heroine journey we are now embarking on. So I had some old cotton fabric. I didn't edge it. I just wanted it to be a bit, you know, rustic. I created some knot magic here on the tie, and these are selenite and black tourmaline crystal beads. And then on the outside of the cloak, I also added a rune, which was really relevant to a reading I did recently about this facet of self, as well as this spiral, which is also really relevant to the work I'm doing with my inner heroine facet. So yes, so as well as the artwork, I've obviously also been working with my poppet around this practice. I think that's it. I think that's all I can pretty much share with you. But watch this space. I might well talk about that facet of self in an up and coming video. It's something I'm most definitely going to be continuing working with in August as well. So watch this space. So 2 new decks that came in July. The Rainbow Brain Skull Oracle, which the box got a bit damaged, but that's fine. Yeah, this one pre-order. Look at this, gorgeous. Love it. And the Adventure Tarot. I know my low buy year, I'm supposed to be only opening 1 deck a month, but this was from my Scratch the Itch low buy stockpile. And you know, because of the inner heroine facet, I thought the Adventure Tarot, well, yeah, it's a no-brainer. I've got to pull that forward, and I knew it was in my stash, so I pulled it forward and opened it, and I love it. I love the gilded edges. Oh, it's gorgeous. Here's the this is the tarot, obviously, and this is the Brain Skull Oracle. Look at this. Look at this. I'm totally having a rainbow month. I'm going to tell you about that in a second as well. Anyway, this was my latest pull. This card initially popped out, and I thought, no, that's not the card I need to read. And then I reshuffled it again. This card popped out, and this was on the bottom. Being out of ideas is just another idea. Too many ideas, same as no idea. And the 7 of Wands. I mean, it's just these two. They just so speak. They speak so well together. So yeah, I've been loving these two. So these have kind of been tapping into that summer energy. That adventure portal, getting into that feeling and that energy. Does that make sense? I hope so. I don't tend to go to the guidebook for this one, and initially when I used this one in a video, I think it was called Battle of the Mages, and initially when I first opened it, I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the artwork. But oh my goodness me, when I started using it and reading with it, I was like, what was I thinking? This is amazing. Now, I think the Rainbow Skull, whatever this one's called, I think this is going to be a really versatile deck and pair with a lot of other decks. I also accidentally paired it with the the Power Moon Tarot, and that worked also really fantastically well. I also accidentally paired it with the Rainbow Moon Tarot. That was also fantastic. So I think that it's going to be quite a versatile deck in my collection. So yes, this was certainly a combination of decks that I used in conjunction with my tapping into my adventurous side, I'm going to say, and my Knight of Wands energy that I want to embrace or embody this year, as well as helping along my inner heroine facet. One other deck that helped me with this journey, the Pasta Tarot, of course. I blooming love this deck. I blooming love it. This was my wildcard deck, August last year, I think. I think if you've watched my videos, you might have seen that I sometimes haven't done it for a couple of months because I've felt an overwhelm. But I do a thing where I have some prompts in a jar, and I shake the jar and I pull a prompt, which helps me choose a random deck. And this was the random deck for August, and I was like, oh yeah, I like this, you know, it's lovely, I love the colours, I've never used it, let's use it. And it was such a sassy, tutti fruity, spicy deck. Oh, it was just amazing. And so I used that this deck in conjunction with my inner adventurer, or the Knight of Wands energy, which kind of ties in with my inner heroine facet as well. I feel it's all, you know, it's like a red thread running through all of those things I just mentioned. So this was blooming fantastic. It's still sassy, it's still saucy and spicy, but I love this deck for that. Boom. So the last set of decks that I used was the Sweet Forages Tarot and the Animal Apothecary Oracle deck. These are the decks I use for Dawn Michelle's practice, Dawn Michelle's Weaver practice. These are the Sweet Forages Tarot. Beautiful gilding on the edges, and they're like a lime green. You can see a theme running through the whole month, right? You know, the whole rainbow theme going along. I've edged mine in red. And these two, chef's kiss. Absolutely fantastic. This is another versatile deck. It totally is a versatile deck. I've paired it with quite a lot of different decks in my collection, and I just got a bee in my bonnet, that bee again in my bonnet. I just wanted to pair this one with this one, and it just worked fantastically well. So yeah, I don't think I've got anything else to say more about it really. What I can say is that I'm loving the Sweet Forages Tarot. I love Sam Rook's work anyway. I have all their decks, and I have the Rainbow Moon Tarot, I would say, is my most favourite deck ever. It sits beside my bed, and I pulled cards of a night time, and I love it so much that I even purchased the indie version. I saw it come up just completely by chance on eBay, and it's called the Marble Moon Tarot. So yeah, I purchased a second copy of this. That's the only deck that has a second copy in my collection. These two, total winner. Love Sam Rook's decks. Can't really say anything else. Loving Dawn Michelle's Weaver's practice, or Fellowship of the Weaver's practice. Yeah, that's about all I can say really. Let's move along. So if you've seen any of my recent videos, you'll know that a reassessment of my practice in both June and July was a major focus for me. I was looking at, a re-evaluation of my practice, a declutter, maybe a reorganisation as well. I've put out quite a few videos recently about my decks I'm not using or haven't found a place in my practice. I also looked a bit closer at my spiritual practice generally, and what I want it to look like going forward. And to look at what I wanted to look like going forward, I needed to look at what it looks like right now. So I started to think about what my practice would look like in my wildest dreams, and if time and energy were not an issue. So I wanted to think about what my practice looked like right now, what my beginner witch practice looks like right now. Where do I want to go with my practice, and what do I want to focus on in the future? These are all questions that I pondered and journaled. I started thinking about the things that weren't working as well for me within my practice, things that maybe needed to go or needed to be tweaked possibly. And then I started thinking about my fantasy self, and the fantasy self I feel we're always trying to strive towards, and we think of it in possibly a negative way, but I wanted to look at my fantasy self within a positive way, and the steps I could take to reach my fantasy self, my fantasy practice. So what would my tarot and spiritual practice look like in my wildest dreams if time and effort were not an issue? What were the baby steps I would need to take in order to reach my fantasy practice and my fantasy self? So that was the question I really started to think about. What would my fantasy practice look like in my wildest dreams? Now in my wildest dreams, I would get up a little bit earlier than I would need to on a work day. I would make a beautiful cup of coffee, jump in the shower, take some time to do some stretching and some easy light yoga in the mornings. That would require me to get up that a little bit earlier, and with me getting up that little bit earlier, that would also mean that I would need to possibly go to bed a little bit earlier and cut down on my screen time, you know, my YouTube watching and my TV watching, to be able to allow me to wind down in good time to be able to get the sleep I needed, which would allow me to get up a little bit earlier in the morning without being constantly tired. Of course, I would then love to go to my altar. I'd love to light a candle, I would love to light some incense, pull some cards, do some journaling, and sit there with my cup of coffee, possibly my second cup of coffee of the day, and just, you know, take some time to wake up to the day. And then of course I would love to eat a healthy, nutritious breakfast, which of course means that I possibly need to prepare it the evening before to make sure that I have the time to eat it and not rely or fall back on eating chocolate croissants or donuts, which is a moment on the lips but a couple of inches on the hips. So the next question, where would I like to read tarot? Well, obviously I would love to have a sultan's tent out in my backyard, my own fortress. I would love that, with lots of draped material, some coloured chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, with a round table, the beautiful tasselled tablecloth where I could sit, you know, and read tarot, looking out obviously into a woodland. That would be amazing, with deers, you know, leaping about and butterflies flitting from flower to wildflower. That would be amazing. Now I'm not sure if I can, you know, fix the wild deers and the butterflies, but I can certainly look at my sacred space and add some draping material and possibly more fairy lights and make it a little bit more magical within my sacred space. So what would my spiritual practice or witch journey look like generally in my wildest dreams? I would love to get out in the forest more and do some forest rituals, even some moon rituals outside. I do have a balcony which would allow me to do some moon rituals outside without possibly being seen. So that's obviously a possibility. Foraging wild herbs and flowers, I would love to become more acquainted with my local plant life. I would love to bring the Herb Crafters Tarot into that practice. That's something I'm looking at now. Meditation in nature, I would love to do that. I have an outside altar which I visit, which is in, which has a beautiful birch tree in the vicinity of, and that is a definite possibility to meditate by or on. Making tinctures, oils and consumables, I would love to be able to do that, which is obviously going to mean some more research into poisonous plants and things that I'm able to consume. More research, which generally would take me down some more rabbit holes. Who doesn't love a good rabbit hole? I know I do. I want to read more. I want to read all the books and all the delicious topics that I would like to learn more about. And I would love, love, love to have a floor-to-ceiling witch or occult library. That would be absolutely amazing. That's something I could look into in the future, you know, getting some floor-to-ceiling bookcases. It's definitely not out of the question. I would love to do some more research into creating servitors, putting more intention into my cooking, looking into more blood magic, maybe the other side of magic generally. I'd love to do some research into that. So my next question, what would I manifest if anything was possible in my wildest dreams? That's a really interesting question, isn't it? What would you manifest if anything was possible? That took a lot of thinking about and a lot of journaling. I'm going to get back to you on that. What new intentions would I set in my wildest dreams? That's another question that needs some thinking about. I started thinking about the new hobbies and interests I'd want to experience in my wildest dreams. If time, energy was not an issue, you know, what would I want to be experiencing? What would I want to be doing with my free time? Now, I don't have many people that I speak to about tarot or my spiritual practice in my real life, in inverted commas. I speak about it mostly on this YouTube channel, which is the reason that I created this channel. But who would I like to talk to about my tarot practice and my practice generally, my intentions, my general spiritual practice? Who would I want to speak to about that in my wildest dreams? That's a great question. I didn't come upon a great answer for that one, I'm afraid. And then I started to think about how I would dress in my wildest dreams, what my interior would look like, what my living space would look like in my wildest dreams, if anything was possible. And then finally, I started to think about how I can reach my fantasy self. What baby steps do I need to take to be able to manifest all these things that I want to have in my life? And that's pretty much when the penny dropped. I suddenly realised that I've been living under a misapprehension. For some reason, have felt that my practice needs to be behind locked doors or closed doors. You know, I moved into my new apartment a year ago to allow me to have a sacred area, a sacred space where I could close the door on it, where nobody could see it. But I live by myself, which totally means that I can have my practice and the things that I love and the things that really represent me around me, and those things don't need to be behind closed doors. And I don't really understand where I got that thought from. So June and July was basically about breaking free of those misapprehensions and pulling the things from my practice into my living space generally, adding colour to my living space. I decided to spray paint in pastel rainbow colours all the items that I've thrifted previously. These are the colours that I spray painted them in. We've got basically the colours of the rainbow beside me on the desk here. So we've got pastel pink, pastel green, we had a pastel peach colour, and even a pastel lilac colour. I even had some pastel yellows as well. Yeah, pictures of all those things coming at the end. Stay tuned. So, other things I got up to in July. Well, that would be watching one of many fantastic videos on YouTube by Man from Mystic Man's channel. If you haven't seen their channel, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link their channel in the description box, and I'll even link the video that I saw. And in Man's video, they were creating their own oracle deck, which was amazing. I was like, I really want to do that too. I want to do that too. I totally want to get on board with that. So yeah, so that's what I did. I had an old set of playing cards, which looked like this, cheap as chips. They've been sitting in a drawer for goodness knows how many years. I don't know how many years. And just really felt like I really wanted to create my own oracle. So I grabbed those cards out, and I even, there's some of the backs there, I even cut out some other card backs. So we've got a bit of a blue lilac-y theme going on here, you know, bit of shiny, bit of sparkle, because, you know, you're definitely, yeah, why not? So we've got a few different backs, and I did a list of all the cards I wanted to create in my oracle, which relate to my own practice. So cards, you know, relating to my facets of self, my inner wolf, my inner red bonnet, my inner witch, my inner heroine, obviously, my inner child, my animal ally, all different things, you know. And so I started, whenever I decided that I wanted to create a card, what I did was I asked this deck that I'd already kind of, created and cut out, which card wanted to be used for that specific card that I wanted to create. And I shuffled them, and then when the card popped out, for instance this one, that's the card I used. So I haven't particularly come very far with these cards yet, and they're not completed. So I created this one, for instance. This is going to be Fill Your Cup. So I, pulled forward all my magazines and, just, cut out bits and pieces that I felt related to the things that fill my cup and make me happy. So I've got my cards, got my kitty cat, any kind of animal makes me happy. The transformation, the integration of the lessons that I'm learning, gems, obviously, crystals totally makes me happy. Treasure hunting, my inner child, flowers, all that kind of stuff, magic, all those kind of things fill my cup. So I'm going to add titles to these cards once I've completed all the cards. This I used, I collaged this piece of black and blues from different magazines I had, and I found a picture of a lantern. This was a lady that I found. She's very beautiful, and I popped a random flower that I had out of a magazine, and I drew some illuminating a stream of light behind her. Then we've got this one, which was also some a figure that I found in a magazine, a butterfly that I found in a magazine as well, some signs. Then I drew on this black and slightly yellow. It gave me a bit of a Beetlejuice vibe actually, and Fly Your Freak flag. That totally, I need to do that more. I need to totally fly my freak flag. That was not easy to say. Much more. I'm going to get to that in a few seconds as well. This was going to be Colour Me Happy, because more colour in my life, yes please. This is going to be something like Light Yourself Up or Light Me Up or something like that. Not sure about that yet. This was a picture I found in a magazine, and I added some ink to it. I think this one's going to be my Inner Witch facet. 3 is very relevant, which I didn't think about when the card popped out, but when I actually created the card and completed it, I was like, it's the 3 of Hearts. Oh my goodness me, yes. So that's going to be my Inner Witch facet, I think. Then I gathered some different bits and pieces from different magazines and created this one, which I think I'm going to use for the keyword create, I think. And then finally, I think this is the final one. There might be one more actually. This one, move or movement. Well, it says move, but it's, I think it's going to be about movement. Yeah, so I've got a whole list of cards I want to create. Oh, here's another one that was lying on my altar, which hasn't been stuck down yet. Shine Your Light. So as I mentioned, I've got a whole list of cards I want to create with different keywords. And my plan is just to, when I feel in the mood to create a card, I would just ask the cards that I've what's the word, cut out, which one wants to be that card, and then the card that pops out, I will start with that card. So yes, there we go. Now I've currently run out of Mod Podge, but I think my plan is that once I've purchased some more of that stuff, I'm gonna once the titles are on the cards, I'm gonna coat the cards in Mod Podge to seal them. But yeah, I love it. So thank you so much to Mystic Man for the inspiration. It totally got the creative juices flowing, which is, always a good thing. Always a good thing. So, other things I've been doing in July? Well, I've been edging decks. This is the Kawaii Tarot. Look at this beauty! Oh my goodness me, I love it so much. This totally fills my cup, lights me up, feeds my soul. Honestly, it does. It really, really does. So yes, that was that one. Then I also did this one. This is the Rebel Heart Tarot. These are the backs. Look at these. Oh my goodness me. Honestly, I'm having a total love affair with rainbow colours this month. And, I won't apologise for it. So yeah, this is my card for August, which is interesting. I love this deck too. Just a spoiler, FYI. These are my decks I'm using in August. I'm loving them. I think they are so amazing. I feel I say that very often. But you know, if the decks in my collection weren't amazing, they wouldn't be in my collection anymore, right? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so I've been edging decks. What other decks did I edge? Oh, I obviously edged the Brian Froud Tarot, Oracle, sorry. I feel I edged something else, but obviously not. Anywho, let's move on to thrifted finds. So you've already seen my thrifted finds that I used for my revamp of my living space. As well as those items, I also purchased a couple of others. I think all of these are from the secondhand shop online that I love. I need to stop shopping on that site, I do. I found this and I really wanted this to, for my altar, as a representation of integrating the light with the dark. And this totally spoke to that. And I love it that there's like this kind of heart shape going on in the centre. So that's what this has been dedicated to as a reminder to integrate the shadow with the light, or the light with the shadow. And one can't exist without the other. There's got to be a balance there. So yes, that's a representation that's sitting on my altar. Another thing that I purchased for my altar, which was a complete surprise, and yeah, I wasn't expecting it, was this beauty. I haven't had a male representation on my altar apart from a sun, which I'm going to pop a picture in now. So this sun, I'm going to say like, not a sculpture, like a figurine, I don't know what to call it. I bought it second hand when I first started my spiritual practice, and I wanted it as a representation for the masculine. And then I saw this fellow and I was like, I want this on my altar as a representation of the masculine. And if you know my backstory, you'll know that this is a bit of a step forward. This is a big step forward actually for me, and I'm very proud of myself to be at this point whereby I can have a figure that looks like a male on my altar. Excuse me. So I'm very proud of myself for that. So unexpected, but you know, I love them. I love them. Gorge. So they are now sitting on my altar in front of the sun to represent the masculine. Something that was completely unexpected and not my aesthetic was this beauty. I saw this and I really felt drawn to it to purchase for my Jaquetta of Luxembourg shrine that sits on my ancestor altar. Not my aesthetic at all. I don't know. You know how it works, right? When you get that tap on your shoulder, or that whisper in your ear, I've learnt to just go with it. So yeah, she's cleansed and blessed, and she's now sitting on Jaquetta of Luxembourg's little shrine that I've got set up for her. So yeah, the last item, I think, is the last item. Is this beauty, which is going to be revamped with lots of colour, and it's going to be sitting on my altar as a constant reminder that I am in control of the world that I want to create around me. So yeah, those are my thrifted finds. Do we have anything else to talk about? Anything else to share? Let me have a nosy round. I don't think so. I think we're done and we're dusted. So how about you? What did your July end up looking like? What decks did you use in July? Let me know your most favourite pairing of the month gone by. Yeah, otherwise I'm going to wish you a lovely morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for coming on this journey. Take care, and I hope to see you in the next video. Toodaloo.